I returned to Blackwood House 3 days later. I told myself I was going back for answers. I was lying. I wanted to see Claire. "You came back," she said when I entered. "Yes. Why?" "I'm still trying to figure that out." She smiled. "That sounds like something a confused man would say." "I am confused. About me? About everything." She laughed. "Then sit down." I sat across from her while she sketched in a notebook. "You draw?" "I paint." "What do you paint?" "Things I'm afraid to lose." I looked at her. "That sounds sad." "Maybe. But art lets me keep things without controlling them." I smiled. "You always wanted to be an artist?" "Since I was little." "What happened?" "Nothing yet." I understood the answer. She wanted a life where nothing had happened yet. "What?" "You're staring again," she said. "Sorry. You look at me like you're comparing me with someone." "I am." "Who?" "Someone I loved." "Did she hurt you?" "Yes. Badly. Enough to make me afraid of loving anyone again." "Claire, close her notebook." "Then don't." I looked at her. "Don't what?" "Don't spend your whole life mourning the person she used to be." Her words struck deeper than she could know. "You're wise for 24." She laughed. "And you're dramatic for 38. You remember my age?" "You told me." "I forgot." "You forget a lot." "Not you." The room became quiet. I looked away. I couldn't let myself forget what she was. She belonged to another time. That evening, Samuel called me into his study. "You need to stop coming here so often." "Why?" "Because the house isn't harmless." "What does that mean?" He placed my father's letter beside an old journal. "Your father came here too." I stared at the journal. "When?" "Years ago." "Why didn't he tell me?" "He wanted to protect you." "From what?" "From making the same mistake." "What mistake?" Samuel opened the journal. He became obsessed with changing the past. My chest tightened. "Did he meet someone?" "Yes." "Who?" "Someone from his past." I stepped closer. "What happened?" He returned. And he was different. How? He understood that changing another person's choices could destroy lives you couldn't see. I looked toward the door. "Claire." Samuel nodded. "She has feelings for you." I froze. "No." "Don't lie to yourself." "I can't be with her." "Why?" "Because I know what she becomes." Samuel's expression softened. "You know one future. You don't know every future." I left his study and found Claire outside. She was waiting. "Are you leaving?" "Not yet." "Good." She walked beside me. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything. If you could change one thing about your future, what would it be?" I stopped walking. I would stop giving someone else the power to decide my worth. Claire looked at me for several seconds. "Someone did that to you?" "My wife." Then she lost something valuable. She thought she found something better. Maybe she was wrong. I looked into Claire's eyes. "You don't know that." "I know what I see." "What do you see?" "A man who is hurting, but pretending he isn't." She reached for my hand. My heart raced. "Claire, don't." "Why?" "Because this isn't supposed to happen." "Maybe you're wrong." "I can't let myself love you." "Can't or won't." I had no answer. Her fingers remained against mine. Then the floor shook. Claire gasped. "What was that?" "I don't know." The windows rattled. Samuel shouted from inside. "Ethan, get away from her." The room twisted. I grabbed Claire. "Hold on." She cried, "Ethan." The floor vanished beneath me. I heard Samuel yelling something I couldn't understand. Then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the floor of my own house. I reached for my phone. There were no messages from Claire. I checked the date. Months had passed. I stood and walked to the mirror. My face looked the same, but I didn't feel the same. I remembered Claire's smile. I remembered her dreams. I remembered the way she had looked at me when she asked whether I could love her. I whispered, "What did I do?" My phone rang. "Daniel." I answered. "Ethan, where have you been?" "I've been working." "For how long?" "I don't know." "You sound strange." "I found something at Blackwood House." "What?" "I found a reason to stop hating Claire." Daniel went silent. "Ethan, are you sure you're okay?" "No." "What happened?" "I think I understand what I lost." "You mean your marriage?" "No." I looked at my hand. "Myself." I looked around. Claire was gone. I whispered no. I had returned to the present. But somehow, I knew my life would never be the same again. I woke on the floor of Blackwood House with a pounding headache. "Ethan." I opened my eyes. Daniel stood above me. "Where have you been?" I tried to sit up. "What happened?" "You disappeared." "For how long?" He stared at me. For months. My stomach dropped. For months. Yes. I looked around the room. Where's Claire? Daniel hesitated. She's been looking for you. Why? She needs help. I stood slowly. What happened? Ryan happened. I remembered the photographs, the expensive dinners, the confident smile. Tell me. Ryan drained her savings, used her connections, and built his company with her contacts. Then he left. Why would Claire let him do that? She trusted him. I looked away. Where is she? Outside. My heart tightened. Why did you bring her here? Because she refused to leave until she saw you. The door opened. Claire walked inside. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked exhausted. Ethan. I said nothing. She stepped closer. I've been trying to find you. I know. Please listen. I am listening. She wiped her eyes. Ryan left me. I heard. He took almost everything. I heard. I was stupid. I looked at her. You weren't stupid. Her face lifted hopefully. You were willing to believe him. Her hope disappeared. Ethan, I made the biggest mistake of my life. You did. I thought he made me feel alive. And now I feel empty. I swallowed. What do you want from me? I want another chance. My chest tightened. Claire, please. She reached for my hand. I know I don't deserve you. You're right. I know I hurt you. You did. I know I destroyed everything. Yes. She began crying. I thought Ryan was better. I looked directly at her. You didn't leave me because Ryan was better. She whispered, then why? Because you believed I wasn't enough. She shook her head. I was wrong. You were. Then let me fix it. For one dangerous second, I want to say yes. I remembered our wedding. I remembered her laughter. Then I remembered young Claire telling me not to mourn someone who no longer existed. I gently pulled my hand away. I forgive you. She stared at me. Then come home. Forgiveness doesn't mean returning. Her face crumpled. Why are you so different? I looked at her. Because I finally met the man you destroyed. What does that mean? It means I found myself after you left. Was there someone else? I thought of young Claire. Yes, I almost said. Instead, I answered there was. Claire's eyes widened. Who? Myself. She covered her mouth. I still love you. I know. Then why can't you love me again? Because love isn't enough when trust is gone. She cried harder. Ethan, please. I stepped back. You need to leave. She nodded slowly. Before walking away, she whispered, I hope someday you understand how much I regret this. I already understand. The door closed behind her. After she left, I sat beside the fireplace. Daniel called again. Are you sure you're okay? No. Do you want me there? I answered, give me tonight. Don't decide because you feel guilty. I won't. And Ethan, yeah. Remember who you were before Claire. I remember. That was the problem. I remembered too much. I remembered the woman she had been, the woman she became, and the man I became because of both. For the first time, I wondered whether fate was offering me a second chance or testing whether I could let go. That night, Samuel found me sitting alone. You saw her. Yes. And I let her go. He nodded. Good. I looked at him. Good. You finally made a choice without fear. I don't feel brave. You aren't finished. What does that mean? Samuel sat beside me. The house may open again. My pulse quickened. You mean the time slip? Yes. Can I return? Perhaps. I stood. Then I'll go back. Listen first. I stopped. If you change something major, your present may disappear. I stared at him. What kind of change? Anything that alters the path that brought you here. So I could erase my entire life? Your current life, yes. I looked toward the window. If I go back, I could save Claire from becoming the woman who destroyed me. And you could lose everything you have become. I remembered young Claire's smile. I remembered the peace I felt beside her. Then I remember my old marriage. My heart pulled me in two directions. Samuel, what would you do? He looked at me quietly. I would ask which life I was trying to save. I closed my eyes. I finally understood the real choice. I could rewrite my past, or I could accept it. For the first time, fate was waiting for my answer. I stepped through the old doorway and found Claire sitting beneath the window, holding the sketchbook I had given her years ago. She looked up sharply. I know. You disappeared without saying goodbye. I'm sorry. Where did you go? I closed the door behind me. somewhere I never wanted to go. She stood slowly. You look older. I am older. That makes no sense. It won't, unless you let me explain. Claire stared at me. Then explain. I took a breath. I'm from the future. She laughed nervously. That's your explanation? Yes. You expect me to believe that? No. I only expect you to hear me. Her smile disappeared. I continued. I know what happens to you. I know who you become. You're frightening me. I don't want to frighten you. I want you to have a choice. A choice about what? Your life. Your marriage. Your future. She crossed her arms. What happens? I looked into her eyes. You marry me. Her expression softened. You and I. Yes. And you become unhappy. She frowned. Why? Because somewhere along the way, we stop understanding each other. We stop listening. We become strangers living in the same house. That doesn't sound like us. It becomes us. She shook her head. Then what? You leave me for a younger man. Her face went pale. You're lying. I wish I were. You said I would marry you. I did. And then I leave you? Yes. Why would I do that? I spent years asking myself the same question. She looked away. I lowered my voice. You regret it eventually. Do I? Yes. Do you hate me? I swallowed. I hated what happened. I hated the years I lost. But I never truly hated you. Then why tell me? Because I don't want to control your future. She stared at me through tears. I could tell you what to avoid, I said. I could beg you never to marry me. I could warn you about every mistake. But then you wouldn't be choosing your own life. What do you want me to do? Nothing for me. Nothing. Choose yourself. Her lips trembled. Did I really hurt you that badly? Yes. She covered her mouth. I continued. But I also spent years becoming someone who needed your love to feel valuable. Claire began crying. I thought love was supposed to save people, she whispered. Sometimes love teaches people. Sometimes losing it does. So we both make mistakes? Yes. Even you, especially me. She wiped her cheeks. What happens to my dream? You chase it. My art. You become good enough to make people stop and stare. She laughed through her tears. You really know everything? No. I only know one possible future. I pulled my father's old letter from my coat. What's that? My father wrote it before he died. She carefully accepted it. He wanted me to understand that a person should never abandon their purpose just to keep someone else. Claire looked at the envelope. Keep it. Why? Because you need to remember who you are. She held it against her chest. Will I see you again? Maybe. When? I don't know. Will we be together? I smiled sadly. Maybe. But if we do, I hope we meet as better people. The room blurred around me. Claire reached toward me. Wait. I stepped backward. Please. I'm sorry. Then everything disappeared. I opened my eyes in my present-day bedroom. I sat up immediately. This isn't my house. The walls were different. The furniture was different. Even the photograph on my desk showed a man I barely recognized. I rushed outside and stared at the street. My car was gone. My office building was unfamiliar. I called my workplace. Hello, this is Ethan Carter. Ethan Carter? Yes. You've never worked here. My stomach dropped. What? I think you have the wrong number. I ended the call and stood frozen. I had changed everything. Maybe I had erased myself. I searched for Claire. Her name appeared on an art gallery website. Claire Bennett, award-winning artist. International exhibitions. No divorce. No younger man. No marriage to me. I entered the gallery that evening. A woman approached me. Looking for someone? Yes. Claire. She's the artist. I know. You know her personally? I hesitated. I used to. The woman smiled. Then you should see this. She led me toward a large painting. I stopped breathing. The canvas showed a young man standing beside a woman beneath an old window. Underneath, it was a title. The man who taught me to choose myself. My hands began shaking. At the bottom, Claire had written one sentence. You changed my future by refusing to control it. I whispered, Claire. A voice came from behind me. You finally found it. I turned, and for the first time, I wondered whether changing the past had erased my life, or final. The house felt different after Claire left. I kept expecting to hear her keys at the door, her footsteps in the hallway, or her voice asking what I wanted for dinner. Instead, Every room answered me with silence. 3 weeks after the divorce, Mia called. How are you? Fine. You sound terrible. I'm working. That isn't an answer. It is the only one I have. I heard her sigh. Claire moved into that apartment with Ryan, didn't she? Yes. And you're still living there? Yes. Why? Because I refused to let her take my home, too. Mia laughed softly. That's the first thing you've said that sounds like you. I try to believe her. My friends reacted differently. Some told me to fight. You can't just let 12 years disappear, one friend said. Another told me, if you still love her, go to get her back. But others were quieter. One evening, Daniel sat across from me at a restaurant. You know, she wasn't happy for a long time, right? I looked at him. You knew. I suspected. And you never told me? What could I say? Your marriage was yours. I stare at my untouched coffee. Do you think I should chase her? No. Why? Because she already chose. His answer hurt because it was true. Daniel leaned forward. Do you want Claire back? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. He waited. I don't know. That is the first honest thing you've said since the divorce. I looked down. I miss who she used to be. Maybe you miss who you were with her. I had no answer. Then the pictures started appearing. Ryan posted dinner after dinner. Expensive restaurants. Beach resorts. Hotel rooms with city views. Claire stood beside him in every photograph, smiling. I hated myself for checking. One night, I stared at a picture for almost a minute. Claire looked happy, but Ryan looked different. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at the camera, showing everyone what he had won. I whispered, she's not a person to you. She's a prize. My phone rang. Claire. I almost ignored it. Instead, I answered, what do you want? Ethan, I need to talk. About what? Ryan. I closed my eyes. What happened? He's spending too much money. That isn't my problem. He bought a car without telling me. Still not my problem. He's changed. I laughed bitterly. Changed? Don't do that. You left me because you want to change. I thought I knew him. You made your choice. Silence followed. Then she said, you're being heartless. I felt my anger rise. No, Claire. You taught me how to live without you. You don't understand what I'm going through. And you understood what I went through. She hung up. I stared at my phone. For the first time, I didn't feel jealous. I felt free. Months passed. I worked harder than ever. I accepted projects I had once been afraid to take and started rebuilding my career without asking anyone's permission. One Saturday, while cleaning the storage room, I found an old wooden box. I recognized it immediately. It belonged to my father. I sat on the floor and opened it. Inside were photographs, a broken watch, and one yellowed envelope. My hands trembled as I opened the letter. The handwriting was unmistakably his. I read the first line. Some people are given one chance to meet the past. I frowned. What does that even mean? I read the rest. The letter mentioned a place called Blackwood House. I had never heard of it. I almost threw the letter away. The next morning, Daniel visited my office. I've got something strange to tell you. What? Blackwood House. My heart stopped. Why are you saying that? Because it's being renovated near our new project. I slowly pulled my father's letter from my desk. Daniel stared at it. That's impossible. Apparently not. You're thinking about going there. Yes. Ethan, don't. Why? I don't know. Something about this feels wrong. I folded the letter. Maybe. Then why are you going? I looked toward the window. Because my father left me a question. And you think Blackwood House has the answer? I don't know. I stood. But I'm going to find out. As I drove, Claire's last message returned to my mind. I hope you find someone who makes you happy. Those words once felt like an insult. Now they felt distant. I had stopped asking whether she would regret leaving. I had started asking a harder question. What if my life had a purpose beyond her? I tightened my grip and kept driving alone that day. That afternoon, I drove toward Blackwood House. I thought I was chasing a mystery. I had no idea I was driving straight toward my past. I arrived at Blackwood House just before noon, carrying the project files under my arm. The building looked older than I expected, but something about it made my chest tighten. I whispered, "Why does this place feel familiar?" The front door opened before I could knock. "Mr. Carter?" I turned. An elderly man smiled at me. "Ethan Carter?" "Yes." "Dr. Samuel Reed?" "That's me." "Come inside." I followed him through a dusty hallway. "You're the historian?" Among other things. What does that mean? It means I've spent 40 years studying places that other people would rather forget. I laughed nervously. Sounds cheerful. It isn't. We entered a large room filled with books, maps, and old photographs. Samuel pointed toward a table. Your construction team wants to restore the eastern wing. Yes, I'm here to inspect the structure. You're not here only for that. I frowned. What? He studied me. Your father. My heart skipped. How do you know my father? I knew him. I stepped closer. You knew Mark Carter? Very well. Why didn't anyone tell me? Your father asked me not to. Not to tell me what? Samuel reached for an old photograph. I looked down. My breath stopped. A young woman stared back at me. Same dark hair. Same eyes. Same small smile. I dropped the project file. No. Samuel looked at me carefully. You recognize her? That's Claire. Who is Claire? My wife. Your ex-wife. Yes. He turned the photograph toward himself. This woman is Claire Bennett. I shook my head. That can't be possible. Why? Because Claire is 36. Samuel remained silent. I pointed at the photograph. How old is she here? 24. My mouth went dry. When was this taken? 14 years ago. I laughed because the alternative was screaming. That's impossible. Perhaps. My ex-wife is alive. She lives in this city. Samuel's expression became serious. Then perhaps fate brought you here for a reason. What reason? I don't know yet. You expect me to believe some photograph can prove. A woman's voice interrupted me. Dr. Reed, I froze. The voice was Claire's. I slowly turned around. She stood in the doorway wearing a simple blue dress. My heart slammed against my ribs. It was Claire, but younger. Much younger. She smiled politely. I'm sorry. I didn't know you had a visitor. I couldn't speak. Samuel cleared his throat. Claire, this is Ethan Carter. She looked at me. Nice to meet you. I finally managed. Claire. She tilted her head. Yes. Your last name? Bennett. I stared at her hands. No wedding ring. I whispered, How old are you? She smiled. 24. I stepped backward. No. She frowned. Did I say something wrong? I pulled out my phone. No signal. I tried again. Nothing. Samuel watched me. Put the phone away, Ethan. I looked at him. What's happening? You've crossed a boundary this house sometimes creates. What boundary? A gap between the past and present. I stared at Claire. She stared back at me. You mean I'm in the past? Samuel nodded. For reasons we don't understand. Claire folded her arms. This is getting strange. I looked at her face. In my memories, Claire's eyes had become cold. Her voice had become distant. She had left me for Ryan because she wanted to feel young again. But this Claire looked hopeful. Alive. Unhurt. She smiled at me. Something inside me became quiet. I hadn't felt that peace since before my divorce. Claire stepped closer. Are you all right? Yes. You look like you've seen a ghost. I almost laughed. Something like that. She studied me. Have we met before? No. I stopped myself. Not exactly. What does that mean? I don't know how to explain it. She smiled again. Then start with something simple. Like what? Why do you look at me like you already know me? I couldn't answer. Because I did. I knew the woman she would become. And, suddenly, I wanted desperately to know the woman she was. I swallowed. I've heard your name before. From where? From someone who mattered to me. Did that person know me? Not this version of you. Claire laughed. You're talking like there are several versions of me. Maybe there are. She glanced at Samuel. Is he always this mysterious? Samuel smiled. Only when the truth is dangerous. I looked at him. What truth? You'll understand soon. Claire walked toward the photograph. Why are you looking at that picture? Because it reminds me of someone. Someone you loved? Yes. Do you still love her? I don't know. Claire looked into my eyes. Then maybe you came here to find out. I stared at her. I wondered whether fate had brought me here to change my future. Maybe it had brought me here to change mine. I stepped through the old doorway and found Claire sitting beneath the window, holding the sketchbook I had given her years ago. She looked up sharply. You. I know. You disappear without saying goodbye. I'm sorry. Where did you go? I closed the door behind me. Somewhere I never wanted to go. She stood slowly. You look older. I am older. That makes no sense. It won't. Unless you let me explain. Claire stared at me. Then explain. I took a breath. I'm from the future. She laughed nervously. That's your explanation? Yes. You expect me to believe that? No. I only expect you to hear me. Her smile disappeared. I continued. I know what happens to you. I know who you become. You're frightening me. I don't want to frighten you. I want you to have a choice. A choice about what? Your life. Your marriage. Your future. She crossed her arms. What happens? I looked into her eyes. You marry me. Her expression softened. You and I. Yes. And you become unhappy. She frowned. Why? Because somewhere along the way, we stop understanding each other. We stop listening. We become strangers living in the same house. That doesn't sound like us. It becomes us. She shook her head. Then what? You leave me for a younger man. Her face went pale. You're lying. I wish I were. You said I would marry you. I did. And then I leave you? Yes. Why would I do that? I spent years asking myself the same question. She looked away. I lowered my voice. You regret it eventually. Do I? Yes. Do you hate me? I swallowed. I hated what happened. I hated the years I lost. But I never truly hated you. Then why tell me? Because I don't want to control your future. She stared at me through tears. I could tell you what to avoid, I said. I could beg you never to marry me. I could warn you about every mistake. But then you wouldn't be choosing your own life. What do you want me to do? Nothing for me. Nothing. Choose yourself. Her lips trembled. Did I really hurt you that badly? Yes. She covered her mouth. I continued. But I also spent years becoming someone who needed your love to feel valuable. Claire began crying. I thought love was supposed to save people, she whispered. Sometimes love teaches people. Sometimes losing it does. So we both make mistakes? Yes. Even you, especially me. She wiped her cheeks. What happens to my dream? You chase it. My art. You become good enough to make people stop and stare. She laughed through her tears. You really know everything? No. I only know one possible future. I pulled my father's old letter from my coat. What's that? My father wrote it before he died. She carefully accepted it. He wanted me to understand that a person should never abandon their purpose just to keep someone else. Claire looked at the envelope. Keep it. Why? Because you need to remember who you are. She held it against her chest. Will I see you again? Maybe. When? I don't know. Will we be together? I smiled sadly. Maybe. But if we do, I hope we meet as better people. The room blurred around me. Claire reached toward me. Wait. I stepped backward. Please. I'm sorry. Then everything disappeared. I opened my eyes in my present-day bedroom. I sat up immediately. This isn't my house. The walls were different. The furniture was different. Even the photograph on my desk showed a man I barely recognized. I rushed outside and stared at the street. My car was gone. My office building was unfamiliar. I called my workplace. Hello, this is Ethan Carter. Ethan Carter? Yes. You've never worked here. My stomach dropped. What? I think you have the wrong number. I ended the call and stood frozen. I had changed everything. Maybe I had erased myself. I searched for Claire. Her name appeared on an art gallery website. Claire Bennett, award-winning artist. International exhibitions. No divorce. No younger man. No marriage to me. I entered the gallery that evening. A woman approached me. Looking for someone? Yes. Claire. She's the artist. I know. You know her personally? I hesitated. I used to. The woman smiled. Then you should see this. She led me toward a large painting. I stopped breathing. The canvas showed a young man standing beside a woman beneath an old window. Underneath, it was a title. The man who taught me to choose myself. My hands began shaking. At the bottom, Claire had written one sentence. You changed my future by refusing to control it. I whispered, Claire. A voice came from behind me. You finally found it. I turned, and for the first time, I wondered whether changing the past had erased my life, or fin all. I stepped deeper into the gallery and stopped when I saw Claire's painting. Do you like it? I turned. Claire stood behind me. My heart slammed against my ribs. You knew I would come back. I knew you would. But I don't remember meeting you. She smiled sadly. That is the strangest part. Then explain. After you disappeared from my life, I waited for answers. I thought you had abandoned me. Then I remembered what you told me. What did I tell you? To choose myself. I stared at her. She continued, so I applied to art school. I traveled. I painted. I stopped believing my future had to depend on somebody else. You became famous. I became happy first. The fame came later. I looked at the painting again. And me. You never married me. The words should have hurt. Instead, they felt strangely peaceful. What happened? You left Blackwood House years ago. You built a different life. What kind? A bigger one. I frowned. You traveled, Claire said. You started businesses. You made friends. You helped people. You became successful without needing anyone to prove that you mattered. That doesn't sound like me. It is you. I shook my head. I remember being miserable. I know. I remember loving you. I know that too. I remember hating you. Claire lowered her eyes. Do you still hate me? I studied her face. No. I understand her now. Her. The woman you became in my old life. The woman who hurt me. Claire swallowed. And do you still love her? I looked directly at her. I love the person you became because you chose yourself. Her eyes filled with tears. I spent years wondering whether you were real, she whispered. What do you mean? I remembered a man who appeared, told me impossible things, gave me my father's letter, and vanished. Everyone told me it was probably a dream. It wasn't. I know that now. Ow! She pointed at the painting. I painted you. I stepped closer. Why? Because I wanted proof that I had not imagined you. I laughed softly. You painted someone you thought was imaginary. I painted someone who changed my life. My phone rang. Mia. I answered. Where are you? At home. What? I need to ask you something. Did I ever marry Claire? Mia went silent. Why would you ask that? Just answer me. No. You never married her. I closed my eyes. What happened after Blackwood House? You left. Was I miserable? For a while. Then you changed. Ow! You started smiling again. I looked at Claire. Mia continued. You traveled. You met people. You stopped blaming yourself for everything. Did I become successful? You became successful because you finally stopped measuring your worth by who loved you. My throat tightened. Mia, did I lose something? No, she said. You gained yourself. The call ended. Claire watched me carefully. You heard her. Yes. Are you disappointed? I looked around the gallery. No. Even though you lost me? I didn't lose you. She looked confused. I lost the version of us that destroyed us. Claire stepped closer. And what do you think this version could become? I took a slow breath. I don't know. That scares you. Yes. Why? Because revenge was simple. I knew what I wanted. I wanted you to regret hurting me. And now I don't want you to regret anything. Her tears finally fell. What do you want? I want you to keep choosing yourself. And you? I want to keep choosing myself too. Claire smiled through her tears. Then maybe we finally understand each other. I looked at the painting again. Are you sure this is what you want? She asked. I'm sure I don't want to repeat what happened. And if I become afraid, I'll remind you that you are allowed to choose. Then promise me something. What? Never make me your whole world. I smiled quietly. I promise. And never let me become your whole world either. That promise is hard. Then make it. I will. For once, love did not feel like surrender. It felt like two people standing beside each other, still completely themselves. For years, I had believed losing Claire destroyed my life. Now I understood the truth. I had not destroyed my life by losing her. I had destroyed it by refusing to grow. And somehow, the future had given me something better than revenge. It had given me a chance to love without disappearing inside someone else. Claire reached for my hand. I let her take it. For the first time, I felt no fear about tomorrow. I didn't need the past to change anymore. I only needed the courage to live differently. And beside Claire, I finally understood why. I was leaving the gallery when I saw Orion standing beside my car. Ethan, we need to talk. I don't think we do. My business collapsed. I heard. I need an opportunity. I studied his face. You always did. What does that mean? It means you once built your life by taking what belonged to other people. I won't help you do it again. His expression hardened. You think you're better than me? No. I think I finally know who I am. You'll regret refusing me. I doubt it. He stepped closer. You have no idea what I'm capable of. I know more than you think. Ryan froze. Ow, I've seen enough. He cursed under his breath before walking away. I immediately called Daniel. Ryan came to me. What did he want? Money. A partnership. Another chance to steal his way back. Staying in sight. Then we should find out what he's hiding. Can you? Give me a day. The next evening, Daniel arrived with a folder. I found everything. I opened it. Fake invoices. Dozens. Offshore accounts. 3. Forged contracts. More than 20. I stared at the documents. Daniel asked, "What are you going to do?" I could destroy him. You could. I could make sure everyone knows what he did. You could. I closed the folder. But should I? Daniel looked at me carefully. That's your decision. I used to think justice meant watching people suffer. And now I think justice means stopping them from hurting anyone else. Claire had been standing near the doorway. She spoke softly. The old you would have wanted him to suffer. I looked at her. The old me wanted everyone else to hurt because I was hurting. And now, I don't want Ryan's pain. I want his choices to have consequences. Claire walked closer. Are you sure? Yes. What if he deserves everything you can do to him? Then the law can decide what he deserves. Daniel nodded. I'll send the evidence to the authorities. I handed him the folder. Do it. Ryan was arrested 2 days later. The news spread quickly. Fraud. Forgery. Financial crimes. I watched the report without satisfaction. Claire sat beside me. You're not celebrating. No. Why? Because his arrest doesn't change what happened to me. She reached for my hand. You finally understand that. I think I do. My company kept growing. Claire's paintings reached galleries across the country. Our lives moved forward without the bitterness that had once controlled me. Then Samuel called. Ethan, you need to come to Blackwood House. Why? The time slip is closing. I went cold. What does that mean? You may never see the original timeline again. I stared at the floor. So, this is permanent? Yes. What happens to the memories? I don't know. Will I forget everything? Maybe some of it. I swallowed. And Claire. You have this timeline now. I looked toward Claire. I don't want to lose her. Then stop trying to hold on to a life that no longer exists. That night, I returned to Blackwood House alone. The halls felt strangely familiar. I walked into my father's old study and whispered, Dad, where did you leave me? A drawer clicked beneath my hand. Inside was another envelope. My name was written across it. I opened it slowly. The letter began with one sentence. If you are reading this, you finally chose your own life. I stopped breathing. I read the next line. Never confuse losing someone with losing yourself. My eyes filled with tears. I whispered, I finally understand. The house creaked around me. I held the letter against my chest. For years, I had chased the past because I wanted to punish everyone who had hurt me. Now the past was disappearing. And strangely, I wasn't afraid. I had Claire. I had my work. I had my family. Most importantly, I had myself. I folded my father's letter and stepped toward the door. Before leaving, I looked back once. Goodbye, Dad. Then I walked out of Blackwood House, knowing I might never return. For the first time, goodbye did not feel like losing something. It felt like finally choosing tomorrow. Outside, Claire waited. You came back, she said. For the last time. Did you find what you needed? My father left another letter. What did it say? That I chose my own life. Claire smiled. Then, come home. I looked at her. Home? Yes. Wherever we choose to build it. I thought leaving would hurt. It can still hurt. But you're not alone. I took her hand. No, I said. I'm not. I glanced at Blackwood House. I won't forget what happened. You don't have to forget, Claire said. You only have to stop living there. I smiled quietly. That's exactly what I'm doing. I held my father's letter with both hands, afraid that if I opened it again, the words might change. They did not. Son, I read aloud. If you are reading this, then the house has shown you what I could never explain. I swallowed. Why did you send me here? I whispered. The letter answered in my father's familiar voice, even though I could only hear it in my memory. I never sent you to save your marriage. The time slip was never meant to rewrite Claire's life or yours. It was created to show you the life you were refusing to live. I lowered the letter. My life. I read the next line. You loved Claire, but you slowly disappeared inside her dreams, her fears, and the future you thought she needed. Love is not supposed to erase a person. If you must disappear to keep someone beside you, then you are not saving love. You're losing yourself. My eyes burned. So that was the point, I said. You wanted me to understand. I looked toward Claire. She stood near the window, silent and crying. I understand now, I told her. I thought the past was giving me another chance to fix us. It wasn't. Claire wiped her cheek. Then what was it? A chance to save myself. She looked down. I knew you would eventually understand. My chest tightened. You knew. I remembered. Everything. Every moment, she whispered. Every conversation. Every argument. Every time you looked at me, like I was the only person in the world. I carried those memories for years. I stepped closer. Claire, why didn't you tell me? Because you had to reach the answer yourself. If I told you, you might stay because you felt guilty. I would never want you to feel trapped by my love. She gave a broken smile. That is what I finally learned about you. You loved me deeply, but you were afraid that leaving meant your love had failed. I was afraid of that. I know. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Claire asked, if you had stayed, would you have loved me? I felt tears gather in my eyes. I already did, but I don't want our love to be built on regret. She covered her face and began crying. I reached for her hand. Claire, please listen to me. You taught me something important. She looked at me through her tears. What? People can love each other and still need different lives. Her lips trembled. Does that mean our marriage meant nothing? No. It means it meant something real. It changed me. It mattered. But something can matter without lasting forever. She squeezed my hand. Are you leaving forever? I shook my head. I'm not leaving you. I'm choosing the life we were both meant to have. She cried harder. I wish things had been different. So do I. Then why does letting go feel like losing you again? Because this time, we're letting go without hatred. The room suddenly grew cold. I heard the familiar hum of the time slip. Claire stared toward the hallway. It's starting. I nodded. I know. She picked up a small canvas from the table. My painting, I said. I made it for you. She placed it in my hands. I wanted you to have something from this time. I looked at the painting, then back at her. What am I supposed to do with it? Remember that I was here. I smiled through my tears. I could never forget. The doorway began glowing with pale light. Claire stepped closer. Don't forget me, she whispered. I held her gaze. I won't, but I won't live in the past either. She nodded slowly. Then go. I turned toward the door. Every step felt heavier than the last. Claire. Yes. Thank you. For what? For loving me enough to let me go. Her smile broke my heart. Thank you for finally choosing yourself. I placed my hand on the door. Behind me, I heard her whisper my name. I closed my eyes. For years, I had believed moving forward meant abandoning everything I'd loved. Now I understood the truth. Moving forward meant carrying the love with me without allowing it to become a prison. I did not know what waited beyond that light. I only knew I was no longer running from the past. I was grateful for it. I was grateful for Claire, for my father, and even for the pain that had forced me to see myself clearly. I could remember without returning. I could love without losing myself. That was the freedom I had been searching for at last. I opened the door. Light filled my vision. I took one final breath. Then I stepped through.